Good evening, IL family, and welcome back to our Monday night broadcast where we talk about positive living via simple truths. It's Lady Timiel here, and I'm so glad to have you all. Some of you refer to me as Coach, some of you refer to me as Lady, but at the end of the day, I'm just Timiel. And so I want to welcome you guys back into another night of discussion where I like to talk about things and keep them simple, but keep them positive and keep us thinking. And so on tonight, my topic really comes from some interactions that I had over the weekend, as well as some random research that I was doing on today. So today I was thinking about some of the successes that we see in ministry and we see in business and some of the people. And I was kind of interested in seeing, I don't know if you guys ever look it up, but just seeing some of the self-made millionaire, billionaires, some of the people that are the world's wealthiest people in the world, some of the people that are the wealthiest in ministry and who have the largest ministry, just to kind of see some of their stories and see some of their backgrounds. And this kind of came off of a topic that I was having a conversation I was having this weekend with someone where we were discussing what appears to be overnight successes that some of us see in life. And so this brings about our discussion on tonight, which, as you can see, our topic is the proof is in the inputting. And so any of you who are math majors on tonight, or you went through normal math, that input should equal output. If we did some type of equation, then our inputs that we put in should equals our output. So we know 1 + 1 should equal 2. And so on tonight, that is what I'm asking you in your life. Is your input equaling your output? Some of us are in places where we're wondering what is going on. We don't have the momentum. We're not seeing things move and progress as we like. Some of us may have gotten a little bit stagnant. Some of us just may not be reaching the altitudes that we want to reach. And so the best thing that we can do in this place in our lives is to step back and to evaluate and see if what we're inputting is really equaling the output. Look at what your inputs are. Are you inputting the right things into the equation to get exactly what it is that you want out of it? Because you can only get out what you put in. And that is 100% true in the fact that it takes action to get something out of it. But I want to remind the believer on tonight that when our faith is applied to anything, when God is placed on top of anything that we do, He gives us a great advantage. He is the multiplier. He takes our little inputs and He multiplies them. And so sometimes the input that we put in is the output far exceeds what we do if we would just take the little faith that we have and put some action on top of it. And so one of the things that I was thinking about as I was doing some of the research on these people that are great successes, I'm talking about people who are established, people who are, money is not a thing. We're not all after money. We're not all after wealth. And that should not be your greatest motive for anything that you do in life. But you can take some of those people and you can research them and you can see what it is that they've done to become great successes. When I was reading some of the research on these people, one thing that was a key component to me, not for those that had inherited anything, but for the people that kind of were self-made, one of the things that stood out about them is how they had stood behind or beside someone else as they were going up. And so in saying that, it was how they had gained the knowledge. It was how they had gotten started. Some people had teamed up with people that were great successes and they learned from there. Some people had joined project teams together while they were in school and they were given a project. And so they took an idea that was a project in school and they turned it into their business. But one of the biggest things that stuck out to me about these people, the word that came to mind was cheerleader. And so why is a cheerleader so important to your success? Why is a cheerleader so important to your outcome? Because one of the things that you need behind you, I don't care, you may not be starting a business, you may not be doing a ministry, you may be living everyday life, but we all need support. And sometimes we look around and we wonder, where is our support? Where is the people that are pushing us? Where are the people that are feeding us, helping us, cheerleading us, pushing us on? on. And one of the questions you've got to ask yourself, or as you evaluate your inputs, is, are you a cheerleader? Like, who have you been cheering on? Who have you been supporting? You know, a cheerleader sits on the sideline and they probably put in as many practice hours and times to get as precise as they can to go out there and cheer a team on. And at the end of the day, it's all about the team and it's all about the team winning. But those cheerleaders are willing to sacrifice just as much to make sure that that crowd is behind them, to get them involved. A great cheerleading team, no matter whether the team is down or not, they will continue to push the crowd to get behind it. So one of the inputs for those of you that are doing things or wondering what's around you, are you being a cheerleader? Who are you supporting? Who are you helping even when you see them down? Even when it looks like it's not working? Even when they're just starting out? Who is it that you are supporting and that you are pushing on? And one of the greatest things that I learned when I did my research today was on these people, because I said they were close to the people that were making the decisions. They were close to the people who may have had an idea, but their idea branched off from it. And sometimes when you're a cheerleader, when you put yourself to the side, when you sacrifice yourself, you gain more information and more input than you would if you went this thing alone. So I wanted to remind you on the night to cheer someone else on and look at what they're doing. Sometimes it's free information just to be by a person. If you look at some of the greatest leaders in the world, they likely sat under someone else who was already a leader, and they learned so much just by sitting there and feeding from that table. So keep that into mind on tonight, because just like you're supporting them, you can also oftentimes feast off of what it is that they're giving you. Feast off the information. That's what we call our mentors. You push your mentors, you support them, but you also feast off of what it is that they're giving out in that information. And then also, when I thought about our inputs and our outputs, I was like, are we looking for a microwave blessing? I know sometimes you see the successes and you don't know the details behind the story. You don't know the number of the years that it took a person to get there. But we do live in a microwave society. We live in a society where we can create overnight success just by creating a profile on Facebook, but just by using all social medias. You can put a video on YouTube. You can create a book cover. You can do all of these things. But behind all of that, what else are you pushing? See, a person who has really created something. I was listening to Dave Ramsey today, and he talked about this thing called momentum. A person that really has authentically created something, you're going to create something that is lasting in your life. And that is why your input matters on tonight, because you cannot just want to live in this society where everything comes to you suddenly. If you think about a microwave meal, first of all, it's likely made up of things that are probably something we shouldn't input into our body. The preservatives and things are there to keep the shelf life. But this is something that has been prepared for you, rationed out for you, seasoned for you. You didn't have any choice in it. You've got to take what's in the box. You don't get to pick it apart and decide, I don't want this, don't want that. They give you the exact instructions. And what happens is don't have any experience in the process. There's something about you going through your own process and the things that you gain on tonight. And so if you want to be organic, if you want something authentic, if you want something that's really you, then you can't go after the quick thing. Now, if God does it suddenly, then that is God doing it, and that is your blessing. But most of us will have to put in the work. If not all of us will have to put in some degree of work and some degree of time. So on tonight, do we realize that our experiences are invaluable, and will produce value in our lives? See, the experience that you gain by being patient, the experience that you gain by putting your own input in your actions and going through your own process, you become of value. Think about some of the people in the world, such as your Bishop T.D. Jakes and the such that write these books, the Joyce Meyers of the world, the Joel Osteens of the world. They are writing from their experiences. Yes, you can get to sit down and write something, but what makes you unique and different from someone else? Because we all can preach the word of God. All we have to do is read it and understand it and open it up and allow God to give us an understanding. But when you write from your own experiences, that is what makes you unique. That is what separates you. And you cannot write from something that you have not went through the process. So that's why your experiences become so valuable to you. Because let's say, for instance, you are that overnight success. The person who may take a little longer to get to that place where you are now has a process that they talked about. So now not only do they come out and be a success, but they've got things to add on as the years go on. They've got something that will last them over decades versus something that is going to be a one-hit wonder. You know those people that made songs that were one-hit wonders versus the ones who have lasted through the test of times that we call our legends in the world. And so the question is, which one do you want to be? Do you want to be the person that's the one-hit wonder, or do you want to go through your process on tonight? Do you want to put in the valuable input so when God gives you your own personal experience to share it with someone, it will give you the momentum to keep going on tonight? And the last thing that I want to talk about is a quote that I heard on my book that I was listening to on today. And it was from Dave Ramsey. And he says, maintaining focus gives you an unfair advantage. And so what he was talking about was his momentum theorem. And he was saying on tonight that it is very odd. It's a very peculiar person that can stay focused for 1 year, that can start with something and stay focused for 1 year. But if a person can do that, then they will create a momentum in their lives that will last for years to come. So on tonight, I want to challenge you all that as you're doing things, your input, what you're putting in, can you be so focused on what it is that you're doing? Can you stay true to it? Can you get with a program and stay with it for an entire year? Can you get with a message? Can you get with a book? Whatever you decided that was going to be your input on this year, now that we're near the end of this first quarter, are you still sticking with it? Are you still staying with it? Because if you can stick with it through this year, according to what Dave Ramsey said, and I believe that is true, that kind of focus is going to give you an unfair advantage. And I don't like to think of it so much as unfair, but I know exactly what he was saying, because now you're putting yourself in a place that most people are not, because most of us get distracted very easily. So on tonight, I just want to encourage you, make sure that the input, what you're putting in, is going to give you the output that you would desire. And know that once you put your faith into action, once you do the things that it is that God's told you to do, and God gets on top of that and multiplies it, it is going to be something awesome. I pray that this was encouraging to you on tonight. I want to thank you all for tuning in, and I will talk to you guys next week with another conversation about positive living via simple truths. Have a good night.